All right, today I want to talk to you about locating positive and negative numbers on a number line. My name is Brandon Clayton, the Algebra Guy, and this is a simple lesson but very important nonetheless. So let's jump into it. All right, so here's a number line you've probably seen or familiar with. If you haven't, well, there you go. And so the question is, let me get my pen out, make sure I'm ready. So the questions I want to answer today, actually, let's introduce it. So as an introduction, you are already familiar with negative numbers, aren't you? Because you've seen a thermometer at some point and you've realized when you get below this zero, these numbers become negative. So normally these numbers would have this little negative sign next to them. So let's say negative 20, negative 30, and so on. So why is it negative? Because it ends up being below zero. So that's what we call negative numbers. So you're actually familiar with negative and positive numbers. You've also seen this if you've dealt with money and a bank. Now, if you've only dealt with money in real, an actual money that you can hold, you'll have a hard time getting negative amounts of money. But if you've experimented with banks and you've tried to deduct more than you actually had in the account, you learn that there is a such thing as negative balance. So you could have a such thing as a negative 43. Why? Because you dropped below your zero amount of having nothing, then you got worse than nothing. Or you can have positive like $50 or $5,000. But you can also think about negative numbers in this instance where you have sea level. So when we talk about the elevation of different terrains, we talk about their relationship to the sea level. We call the sea level, this sea level right here, level 0. So this will be level 0. And anything below that, we're going to consider what? A negative value, like we see right here. So the Dead Sea is below that level, so we call this negative, and that's negative 1,300 feet below sea level. While this point up here would be just some normal number, a positive number, like maybe 500 feet. And that means it's above zero. So you're already familiar with that. So introduction was all you needed maybe to refresh your memory. But let's go ahead and talk about it a little bit more since we're here. I want to answer these two questions. What's a negative number and how do I correctly plot numbers on a number line? So you're already familiar with positive numbers. Now we have negative numbers. So that's nothing new to you. Plot the numbers 3, negative 2, negative 1, and 2 on a number line. Well, first we need to draw a number line. And you saw that already. The number line is going to have a 0 in the middle. And on the right side, you're going to have positive numbers. On the left side, you're going to have negative numbers. And I want to actually plot them before we close out here because we're almost done. As you see, as we go to the right, the numbers increase. And we go to the left, the numbers decrease. They go down further, and we'll get into that more later. But let's go ahead and plot 3. So if you're starting from 0 and you start counting positive, there's our 3. And for our negative 3, we'll count 1, 2, 3 spaces here. Negative 1 is obviously 1 space behind 0, and 2 is 2 spaces after 0. And really that's it. But I need to make sure that foundation is laid in case you were sketchy or feeling uncomfortable at any point concerning negative numbers and how to plot those, because we're going to get into that a little bit more in the following lessons. So did we cover what we came to cover? What is a negative number? Yep, we talked about all the values less than 0, whether it be your money, the temperature, or sea level. How do I correctly plot numbers? Well, we just talked about that. You can start with 0, and if it's positive, you count that many numbers to the right, and negative, you count that many values to the left. Thanks for tuning in. Again, my name is Brandon, the Algebra Guy, and I will see you next lesson.